What's up, Believe Nation? Welcome back to another YouTube Hangout. Super excited to be here, joined by not a new guest, someone who's been a friend of the channel, Mr. Jeff Davis. He is a speaker. He is an author. He is a TEDx celebrity. He has written multiple books, and he's in the process of writing another one called The Power of Authentic Leadership, which is tentatively going to come out in April. And he wanted to interview me as a part of that book. So today we're going to talk about how to deal with challenges and grow your business. Jeff, welcome back, man.
Evan, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to chatting further.
Cool. Maybe quick, like I did a quick intro, but take it one step further, just for my audience to know what you're all about, and then dive into your questions, man.
Yes, absolutely. So really quickly, I'm a world traveler. My entrepreneurial journey started when I was living overseas in Budapest, Hungary, my junior year of college. Got super interested in meeting people, learning about success, learning how to grow your life to the next level. When I came back to the United States, I then started doing everything from YouTube, blogging, continuing to travel. And then, like Evan said, I'm a professional speaker. I speak to high schools and colleges, also nonprofits. Written a couple books, coming out with my third book. So I'm always putting out good content there to the world. And I'm very excited to get another opportunity to chat here with my friend Evan and pick some of his success insights. So I'll dive right into it. First question is, Evan, what would you say are some ways for you or anyone else to get out of or get through a setback, and specifically a rock bottom setback? So we're all going to have ups and downs. We're all going to have trials and tribulations, but I'm wondering your insights on someone who's reached the end of their rope. They've had setbacks and now they're at rock bottom. What is your advice for them?
Get excited. I love the rock bottom setback means something big is coming. I mean, I think back to my own experience, my own rock bottom moment. I had a software company and we weren't doing well, and I was making nothing, $300 a month. And I just got to the point where I felt worthless. I was putting in time and effort, and we weren't not succeeding because I was slacking. It's like every day, day in, day out, working on this thing and getting next to nothing results, basically. And I just woke up the day after and like, you know what, this isn't working and I need to find another way to stand. The night before I was on a call with my partner, I told him that I quit, and that was my rock bottom moment. I told him I quit, and wow. Hearing those words come out of my mouth was devastating. And the next day I woke up and I realized I couldn't quit. I had to keep doing this, but I needed to find a different way to do it. And I think that's what is so great about a rock bottom moment, is it forces you to find a different way to stand. First of all, the challenge is like, should I be doing this or not? Should I be still in this thing or not? Do I have the passion to keep doing this? Is it worth all this headache and heartache and pain and anguish? Or should I be doing something else? And so for me, I was like, I need to keep doing this. I can't quit on this thing yet. But the things that I was doing before, I have to find another way to stand. And that led me to realize that I'm not the first guy to try to do this. Somebody else has already figured this out. I need to model success. I need to find someone who's done this, copy what worked for them, apply it to my business. That's where I learned about Bill Gates and how he started Microsoft. I applied his strategies. That was the beginning of the turnaround for our company. And we can go deeper into that if that helps you. But really, hitting that rock bottom moment is the opportunity to really test your will to see, is this thing going to be the thing that I want to do? And then it forces you to take a path that is more in your favor, where the minor setbacks aren't as much. It's easy to continue on your path, which may not be the path that serves you if you have a minor setback, but those major setbacks, those rock bottom moments, almost always forces a dramatic change in your life, and usually for the better. I was having a conversation last night with someone who's involved in one of my businesses who had a girlfriend and had a relationship that wasn't going well, and it took him a year to get out of that situation. And as soon as they ended up breaking up, that got him to now do more courageous things and join dancing and do other things that now, like, he felt free to go off and explore. And even though it came out of the worst moments, like one of the worst moments in his life, it forced a change for him to take a more positive direction. And so I think a big challenge for a lot of people is your minor setbacks aren't big enough. They don't force you to actually look in the mirror and reflect enough. If you get a major setback, it sucks. It hurts hard. But get excited because something big is going to come out of it.
That's powerful. That's fantastic. I love how you're saying directly that there's really an opportunity in those setbacks, and those rock bottom moments are actually life's way of pointing you to look in the mirror, and then something great is coming. That is awesome. I have all these other questions, but before we leave this exact question we're talking about here, you mentioned briefly you had that turnaround moment, and it does actually tie into one of the other questions I had for you about a turning point you had, and you talked about this setback where you quit and you're at rock bottom, but then you modeled, your new ventures off of Bill Gates. How did that turnaround really happen, and what did you do to use that to propel you to the next level?
So one of the challenges I had in my business was I would feel like I needed to come up with every idea myself. Like I'm the entrepreneur, I'm the creative person, I need to come up with the ideas myself. And the thing that, at first I didn't have an answer. At first it was just what I was doing wasn't working. So I need to find a different way to do it. Even that in itself is liberating. It expands the opportunities. Like my old way, and this applies to anything, like my old way of being in a relationship, or my old way of selling that product, or my old way of, like whatever it is that you were trying to do, it's not working. And so I can't just keep doing the same thing. I need a drastic change in my thinking. And so what that allows you to do, that hitting that rock bottom moment, is think about your life, your business in a way that you've never had the courage to think about it before, because you were confined in your box of here's how I operate. And so first is just recognizing that I need to do something totally different because the way I'm doing it isn't working. Then the idea came to me about, I'm not the first guy to try to do this, and Bill Gates had done it. And how did he do it? And I went back to research. How did he start his business? Start Microsoft 0 to 1. How did he do that? And we can go into specifics if you want, but I modeled that, and I started almost immediately, a couple weeks in, getting results for my business. And it felt great. It felt amazing. Finally, momentum, sales, something. It wasn't even a lot of sales, just nice, just something, to eat. Where when you're starving so much, like an apple is amazing. It's the most luxurious meal in the world. Yes. And so, but if that didn't work out, if it wasn't the Bill Gates thing, I would have found another way. But it's just the idea of what I'm doing now is not working. And it's not a tweak that I need to change. It's a revolution. It has to be something totally different. Because tweaking and tweaking is what I've been doing. And it's not working, obviously, because it's just led me down here to this crash. So I need a wholesale change in my approach. And that's what led to the rise out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Very well said. So next question I have in mind that I wanted to really pick your mind about is that there are a lot of people across, and not only North America, truly the world, who are overworked, they're overwhelmed, they feel like there's too much to do and not enough time. They feel like they have an endless amount of obligations and not enough me time, personal time. I wanted to ask you, do you ever feel overwhelmed? You are a content machine, always putting out these amazing YouTube videos. Every time I sign into YouTube, I see, they're all high value, they're all fantastic. Do you ever feel overwhelmed? And how do you deal with that when you just feel like there's too much to do?
I think it starts with the awareness that it's all self-inflicted. I choose what I'm doing, right? Like, it's take responsibility for your schedule. And you may say, yes, but my boss wants me to do this. Well, you chose to work there, and you chose not to speak up about, the situation. There's always an option. And this deals with any challenge. I mean, we're talking general challenges as well. Any challenge that you're facing, you need to accept the responsibility, the personal responsibility that's on you to get out of it. Because most people just default to complaining. you blame the president, and you blame your boss, and you blame your wife, and you blame your kids, and you blame your parents. And it's like, it's always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault, because you don't want to do, because complaining feels good. You don't want to do the hard work of actually doing something about it and changing. And so for me, the solution always starts with, this is self-inflicted. I put this on myself. And if I want to get out of it, I have the power to do it. I'm constantly, like how I deal with this, I constantly am evaluating my schedule and my time. If I feel overwhelmed from something, then for me, I need to make a change in my schedule. And being willing, I think the hardest part is not, for me, it's not being overwhelmed. It's being willing to let go of things that are good. Things that are good, it's going, it's good, it's not amazing. If it sucked, it's easy to drop it and say, well, that didn't work. Great, failed experiment, awesome, I learned, and we're moving on. But the things that are just good, having the courage to leave those behind to go for something bigger, because good is in your comfort zone. Good keeps you safe. Good, provides an income. Good keeps you where you are, but it doesn't push you forward. And so I'm constantly trying to evaluate my time and say, am I doing something great? Is this worth it? What I like to do is, I'm pretty scheduled. I like to have a schedule that keeps track of what I'm doing every day. So every day I have different assignments, different tasks, different meetings. And most days I wake up and I don't have to make a decision. I think it's easy to get decision fatigue. I think it's easy to, if every day you have to make tons of decisions, you're going to be depleted by the end of the day and not have energy for important things. And so most days I don't have to make that many decisions as to what I'm doing with my time, because it's already been scheduled out. If I feel like I don't have enough time for something, then I know I need to adjust what my schedule looks like. When I took over Toronto Dance Salsa and became the full owner last year, year today almost, in January, I had to change my schedule. Like, I can't run both businesses giving 5 hours a week to Toronto Dance Salsa. I needed to find a way to open up my schedule. So Tuesday became TDS day, and I had to take away other things. So to make TDS great, I had to pull away from something else that was just good in my business. And so it's constantly evaluating how we're spending our time. And if I feel like I don't get overwhelmed, mostly because I don't allow myself to get overwhelmed. It's a lot of times it's that buildup. Like, if you look at why you're overwhelmed, it's been the buildup for the past 6 months of you letting these things slide, or letting other people give you, their agenda, and falling behind. As soon as I start to feel a little bit of it, I adjust and tweak my schedule so that it serves me in what I'm trying to do, great projects. And that means letting go of some things that don't serve a great higher purpose.
That's excellent. Making changes, letting go of things that are good. Good can be the enemy of great. So would you just say to someone who is in a job that they don't like, and they're maybe not yet fully doing their entrepreneurial dreams, you would suggest that they find a job better suited for them rather than submitting themselves to the whims and fancies of their boss?
I think first I'd like to understand, do they want to be an entrepreneur? Like, is that the thing that they really are striving for? And if it is, then make a path so that you can get there. I think if you're in a job that you don't like, if you're in anything that you don't, if you're in a relationship that you don't like you're never gonna be fulfilled. You're never gonna have the impact that you could have. You're never gonna reach your potential by staying there. It's constantly draining your energy and resources instead of building you up. And so the first thing I would do is look for, if I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I would try to find somebody who's done what I want to do and work for them to get as close to the sun as possible, right? Like, if I want to be a TEDx speaker, that's my goal. I want to speak at TEDx. I want to, hey, Jeff, can I help out on something? Can I help you with your projects, your books, anything? Volunteer, side hustle, whatever. Like, you need help? My goal is to be a TEDx speaker. I'd love to take you out for coffee to learn. I'd love to learn about your process. And I just admire your business model, and I want to help in any way possible. And so, like, getting to know you would give me an idea of how what I would need to do, like you learned it, maybe you modeled somebody, or maybe you just did the work and figured it out, right? If I wanted to be a TEDx speaker and publish 3 books on Amazon, if I talked to you and hung out with you for a little while, like I'd get that way faster than me trying to figure it out by myself.
Yes.
Right? And so go find a job where you're going to learn. Yes, you get paid. Yes, you know, ideally you're covering off your bills and you're surviving, but the goal is not to make a huge income from your job. It's to build the knowledge base, the resources, the connections, so that when you go launch your own company, you know how to make it work. So in general, if anybody is in a situation where they are not happy with what they're doing, well, get out and go do something else and have the courage to do that.
Love
Where
it.
again, a lot of times people will blame, like, I'm in this university class because my parents want me to be a doctor, but I don't want to be a doctor. Well, are you living your parents' life, or are you living your life? Like, at what point are you going to cut the cord and say, I'm an adult and I'm making my decisions, right? So, like, stop blaming other people, take the personal accountability and responsibility, and make the change. Do you want to be happy? Make the change.
Yes. So that's awesome. I love that. That is spot on and so incredibly true. Make the change. Don't sit around complaining or blaming. So another question I have been very much wanting to ask you is, as an entrepreneur, I'm constantly going to networking events. I love meeting new people, and I have a lot of friends who are either full-time entrepreneurs or budding and fastly rising entrepreneurs who are putting out lots of good content out on YouTube. And I watch their videos, and it's great. It's fantastic, and they're not growing their channels as fast as they'd want to. And I see people similar to them who are also doing interviews, and they're doing really solid things to, you know, make that content good, but then they put it up and their channel isn't really doing as well as they want to. You would be a great person to ask that, being one of the top YouTubers in the world. So I wanted to ask you, you know, Evan at 0.0 many years ago, as you first got into YouTube, how did you grow it to a higher level, and how could people model after that?
I think people first need to do a serious audit as to how good the content is. I think the content that they're putting out isn't all that good. I think it's okay, but could be better. If you look back at my content, compare where I'm at now compared to where I was, I don't know, 7 years ago when I started. Actually, on my channel, we're about to put out my first YouTube video, like watching me. Here was my first YouTube video. Here's what it looks like. So you can see the growth from where I'm at now. One, it comes from me practicing. Like, I've done 3,600 public videos and another 1,000 or so private videos. You know, you have to be really slow not to learn something out of making 3,600 public videos. And so being prolific is important, I think. I think the quantity leads to the quality. I think the more you, just like, you speak, I'm sure you're a much better speaker now than you were when you did your first one and your second one. And you know, every time you speak, you get better. You get better. If you speak 100 times a year, you're going to get really, really good. If you speak 2 times a year, don't expect to get amazing at it, right? You need to practice. And so if I look at where I'm at now, in both a good and a bad way, I deserve to be where I'm at. One, from okay, we have, you know, however many millions of views and on stuff on the channel. I deserve that because I provided good quality and value to them. You say I'm one of the largest YouTubers, you know, on the planet. I have 500,000 subscribers. It's big in the entrepreneur space, I guess, but relative to who's out there, I'm still a medium fish, and I deserve that. I don't deserve to be more. I need to get better. My content needs to get better. I need to get better. The editing needs to get better. You know, everything needs to get better about my channel for me to get to where I need to go. You know, if somebody watches a video that you put out, or somebody watches a video I put out, and they don't instantly share it with their friends, and they don't leave a comment, and they're not talking about it, I didn't do a good enough job to impact them that day, right? So as I've gotten better, you know, at the beginning I had a hardcore audience. People would love everything, and that hits, you know, 1% of the population. And now if I've gotten better, I can hit a greater percentage where people watch it and they look forward to each one and they want to share it. but I don't deserve more success because I'm not good enough. And I think as soon as people say like, my content is really good, well, listen, you had 50 people watch it. How many of them shared it? You know, did they go home and tell their friends, you need to watch this video, it's crazy? No, because it's not that good. It's not good enough yet. You just need to work on getting better. So I believe, and especially in a market like YouTube and all the social platforms, the talent will rise. Like, nobody's holding you back. It's not the early days of NBC and TV networks where you need to get through the gatekeeper, right? If you want to write a book and get it published, you don't need Penguin Random House to say, yeah, we pick you. You can just publish it. And if it's a good book, people will read it and they'll share it and it'll take off. And so there's no gatekeeper anymore. It's just on all of us. It's on me. I need to get better. I need to work harder. As hard as I work, I need to work harder to get better. If I want to have the impact that I feel that I can have, I need to work harder. And so I deserve all the success that I've had, but I also deserve the lack of success because I need to work harder to get better.
Wow, I give you a lot of credit. I really do, because here you are saying, you know, word for word, I need to get better. I need to improve. I need to take it to the next level. And I'm saying this completely respectfully in the best way possible. A lot of people out there may get to a certain level and say that's enough, and that's totally okay if that's what they want. But here you are saying, no, I don't view myself as this. You know, I'm going to keep growing and keep improving. So I give you a lot of credit for doing that. That's a winner's mindset to have. So another question I wanted to ask is, let's say this is a metaphor, you know, hypothetically speaking, someone wants to get from point A to B with their business as an entrepreneur. And there are landmines everywhere. And by landmines, I mean pitfalls, somewhere they could get stuck, they could make a mistake. What would you say, in your experience, your knowledge, your wisdom, are one or two of the biggest landmines or pitfalls that not only keep entrepreneurs stuck, but keep them from really moving forward because they've gotten caught in some kind of rut?
So I address a couple. I think one, even tying into the last question, I think it's important to have equal parts humbleness and confidence. So, you know, I feel like I'm not playing at a level that Tony Robbins is playing at, or, you know, Les Brown is playing at, or other people that I look up to and respect, that I'm not that good a speaker as they are and be able to impact people as quickly as they can. But I don't think I'm bad. I think I'm really good. I'm just not there yet. There's people who are ahead of me, right? And so I think a lot of people they don't have the balance. They either think they're great and then they don't do anything to improve and get better, and then they just complain, like, why don't I get more views or traction or customers? Or the opposite, they're too humble and they never think they're good enough. And so they never charge enough and they never get the results they want because they're too humble. And so I think having the mindset of being humble and being confident is important. I think for entrepreneurs, a lot of people start the business for the wrong reasons. I think people start a business just trying to make money, just trying to chase an opportunity. The number one most consistent thing that you'll find in any successful person, not even entrepreneur, any successful person, is the passion for what they're doing. Like, you have to be doing it for the right reasons. Money is important. This isn't a charity. I'm not doing this for free. You know, money is important in business, but it's number two. There has to be something more important than money. There has to be a number one. Yes. If money is your number one, you're in the wrong thing and you're going to fail. You might have a little bit of success, but you'll never hit where you could hit, right? So money is number two. Something has to be above it. And then I think just trying and running experiments, running tests. So many people get so caught up in their head of it has to be perfect and I has to do it like, I got to do it like this and I got to wait. And they never actually do anything. And then somebody else goes out and makes tons of money off of their idea, and you blame that guy. Like, that guy did it. It's your fault. You had the idea. Well, you didn't do anything about it. Take action. Do something, even small. Like, wow, I want to start on YouTube, but I don't have the camera, and I don't have the microphone. I don't have the lighting, and I don't have the laptop, or whatever. Whatever you feel like you need. You don't need any of it. Just start. I didn't start with any of the gear. Just start. Take out your phone and start and record and make your first video. And so people hold themselves. I lost a $40 million deal because of this.
40 million?
$40 million
Wow.
deal, my first company.
Wow.
Because I was so worried about making the perfect plan, having everything be perfect before we launch. And a big company ended up buying our biggest competitor instead of us because we weren't ready. We were too late to join the party because we spent too much time planning and tinkering and not enough time doing. And so I now don't wait because of the sting of losing a $40 million deal. Hopefully, people watching and reading the book can learn from that lesson and not have to lose that deal themselves. Or maybe you have to go through that like rock bottom pain moment to really live it. But I'm telling you, if you get an idea, go out and try it and do it and experiment. And it's not going to be perfect, and expect it to suck, and learn from it and keep growing and doing and doing and doing instead of just having these ideas that go nowhere.
Resonating with you on that big time, not only like you said, taking action, but also how you said, yes, money is good, but there has to be something above the money. And that's exactly what I talked about in my TEDx talk. I said, look, money is a great way to expand your influence, but there has to be something inside you, within you, in your inner life that is above that, a higher purpose, a more significant value. So you really just hit a grand slam out of the park with that one. One more question I have, and then we can just go into a wrap up, is in terms of wealth building. I know entrepreneurs need to have that main value and purpose inside them, and then they also need to have capital and funding for their business. I know a lot of entrepreneurs out there are struggling to really balance having the right kind of income with all of their expenses and outgo. And I'm wondering, how do you balance, enjoying life and enjoying today, this moment? Maybe it's seeing a movie with a loved one or doing something fun, maybe going on a vacation, with also being responsible and frugal and being smart with your money. What's that balance point for you, and what do you advise for a growing entrepreneur?
That's interesting, because I think where I'm at now is not what I would advise for a growing entrepreneur necessarily.
Okay.
I have a lot more financial flexibility to do things than I did when I was starting out. I mean, in my business, in my first business, when I wasn't making anything, we would celebrate. Like, I think you could still make time to do the things that are important. It just, you don't have the budget necessarily to do the bigger things. So we would celebrate a win when we got a new client at our first company, for example. We would celebrate a win by going to McDonald's and getting French fries. And the three of us, we would share a large French fries. Like, not a meal, didn't have money to buy a Big Mac combo or anything, but just share French fries. Just as like celebration was something we wanted to do. And so here's how we celebrate. So, now I might celebrate a little bit differently. May have a little bit more resources to celebrate. In the salsa business, every quarter we'll pay for an activity for everybody to come out to. We're going snow tubing, and we're all going to go snow tubing. I'm paying for that, and dinner, and all that stuff. And so that's how we celebrate. But the idea of celebration is still the same concept. So it just started off with McDonald's French fries, and even today, I never I don't eat at McDonald's. I live a much healthier lifestyle. But when I see McDonald's fries or I smell them, I think victory. I think like, oh, it's a win.
Nice.
Because I ingrained that. When my book got published and we saw it in the bookstore, we celebrated by going to McDonald's, and I got some fries with my wife. So I think your financial flexibility might improve as you go on with time, but the concepts stay the same. I think if you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to get something off the ground, I wouldn't go all in. I'm not the guy who says, put a flamethrower to your boss's office and burn every bridge you have and make it a forced decision. I like the planning. I'm much more risk averse as an entrepreneur than most people, I guess, would think you have to be as an entrepreneur. You don't have to be the crazy risk-loving person to have success in business. And so I would ease my way into it. Again, I would try to find a job where I'm going to learn something, where I'm making a paycheck and I'm learning. I'm getting experience that is valuable to me. If I want to learn how to, do real estate, I'm not going to get that being an accountant. So let's go work in a real estate company and see if I can improve myself, I would start real estate on the side. I would start to try to get my own place going. I would start to, get some friends and family to invest in a fund to buy a house or whatever it is. I would start on my own thing on the side. And then when it got to the point where my side hustle could support me full time, not luxury, not buying a Lamborghini or anything, just like support me, pay my internet,
Yes.
give me food. And I felt like I had learned what I needed to learn from my job. Then I would go full time on my business. And so whatever you need to do to kind of survive that. Some people have different thresholds of what their standard of living needs to be. But I think that transition would be what I would do if I was starting now and I had, a mortgage and kids and whatever. Some people need to go all in, and that's the only way they get committed. So if that's your personality type, then think about it. But otherwise, I plan a much safer approach.
Yes, that is definitely a great strategy. So final question here really quickly. I know of one school of thought out there that is totally against ego. And then there's another school of thought out there that says use ego to your advantage. It's good to have ego because that is going to make you succeed. And I know you just said a few minutes ago, it's a careful balance between humbleness and confidence. Is there a fine balancing point between those two schools of thoughts that seem to contradict each other? Have ego to be successful, but don't have any ego, or else you'll come across as arrogant. Is there a fine balance between those two?
Sure there is. I think you'll default to, I think for a lot of these things, we default to one side, and you gain a lot of power, personal power and impact by learning a little bit more about the other side. I think, so as an example, somebody who's super humble and has zero ego has a visceral reaction to anybody who has any ego, and they can't deal with it. And they're concerned that if I get a little bit of ego, then I'm going to fall off the deep end and I'm just going to be an egomaniac. And because I'm so concerned about being an egomaniac, then I'm just going to stay where I am. Where that person will never be an egomaniac. It's never going to happen. Because they are so humble, and that's their upbringing. They could use a little bit more ego and confidence to help them, but they're never going to fall off the deep end. And you'll find this dichotomy a ton, and not just in business, but in life. You have the people who are planners, who plan. It has to be the perfect plan, perfectionists, and they never take any action. And you got the people who take action who never plan. They're just flying by the seat of their pants and just doing anything. Neither is good. You need a combination. And so the planner needs to act more, and the actor needs to plan more. You're never going to go off to the other side. The over planner is never going to just not care about planning again and just go crazy and act and never think about it. That's what they're concerned about. They're going to lose their core to go chase this crazy thing, where it's just move a little bit closer to the middle. You may not ever even get there, but move a little bit closer to the middle, because you're still going to keep your core, and you'll be like, the skills that you'll learn and the mindset that you have with that better approach will help you go off and accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish. And so you'll find it across so many spectrums. So it's the same thing with confidence or ego in humbleness. You could learn from the other side without having to go off the deep end.
Beautifully said. Very well said. Well, that wraps up the questions I had. Evan, any parting shots, final words of wisdom for an entrepreneur who is in the trenches, they're pushing daily, and at the same time they're struggling? What do you have for them? Just
believe. Believe in what you're doing. Believe it's going to work out. Believe, in the project. This is going to be the hardest thing that you ever do in your life. You're going to have tons of roadblocks along the way. And that's why you have to love what you're doing so much, because you're crazy. Because a normal, rational, sane person would quit and give up and do something logical and safe. And so accept that. It's normal. Failure is part of the process. And if you have the deep passion to do it, then just continue on. Believe. Don't quit too soon and then regret that decision for the rest of your life.
This is amazing, as always, and your words of wisdom are powerful. So I appreciate the discussion, and definitely looking forward to making an additional chapter with more legendary insights from my friend Evan Carmichael.
I love it. Thanks for the time, Jeff. You guys can check out his book, Power of Authentic Leadership, coming up in tentatively again mid-April. But if you follow Jeff on Twitter or check out his YouTube channel, there'll be announcements. I think we've linked up to Twitter already. When it comes out, I'll let you guys know too, because Jeff is probably going to hit me up anyway, and we'll spread that message too. But Jeff, thank you for the time, man, the great questions, and good luck in writing this next book.
My pleasure, and have a great rest of your week. Keep up the amazing work.
Thanks, guys. I believe in you. Continue to believe in yourself and whatever your one word is. Much love. We'll see you soon.